2019 is behind us, but let's not forget about the amazing project dropped last year. And wow, Good Thing is probably one of the most impressive when it comes to alternative R&B. Welcome everybody, I'm Ellie from K-Pop Caviar, and today we are gonna see how Jibanov mastered the art to convey bittersweetness in Good Thing. To understand how Jibanov came up with Good Thing, the first question to be answered is who is Jibanov? Basically, Lee Jae-min, aka Jibanov, is a singer, composer, and Korean songwriter. He debuted in March 2016 and founded the collective House on Mars that same year. Right now, he's also signed under Good to Meet You. Originally from Ansan, he had a pretty normal childhood. Like, he wasn't especially fond of school, for instance. In fact, during middle school, he mostly waited for the class to end to play games or listening to music with his friends. However, it's from his first high school year that he really became serious with his interest in music. He began by listening to a wide range of genres to find the one he liked the most, and eventually ended up focusing on R&B and soul. It would be a mistake to reduce Jibanov's musical spectrum to that though. Then went for him the time to debut, and like most artists, he had to face a wave of refusal from the labels. At the time, some told him that if he wanted to draw attention, he had to release singles on a regular basis and show a progress in notoriety. But, well, let's be honest, there is dozens of releases every day, and Jibanov didn't want it to be like a tear in the ocean. So he stayed true to himself and his creative vision. He really wasn't focused on doing breaking debuts anyway, and rather preferred to grow his fanbase progressively. So far, Jibanov dropped 4 EP, 1 album and some singles including MVs. Most of them have been produced by Lennon and Gianna.
아직 꿈을 꾸는 중인가 난 어디부터 온 걸까 얼마나 걸어온 걸까 yeah. 아직도 더 걸어야 할까 이 꿈은 깰 수 있을까 여기선 이런 걱정도 필요 없나 맨날 말을 할까 내가 답답한 괜히 계획이야 일부러 티를 내서 내게 문제를 내본 거라 넌 정말 나쁜 나야 While I'm thinking just my wrist yeah. Girl I'm missing 시간을 돌리고 싶은 날 전처럼 While I'm missing just my wrist yeah. Well I'm thinking just my wish
But also by The Plan 8.
Now what do you hear? 숨기지 못한 표정은 애매한 소리 띄어난 이제 눈 감아도 너는 없는 걸 텅 빈 공간 속에 혼자만 남아있어 Yeah Nothing in my heart
No Air.
어차피 내일도 끝이 나지 않는 넌 하늘 그만두는 건 어떨까 넌 중요한 걸 잊고 나만을 탓하려 하고만 있어 서로가 잘못한 걸 아닌 너만의 착각에 빠져있어
어느새부터인지 너의 모습이 곳곳에 배어버렸지 약간의 과장을 보채면 거의 생활이 불가능한 상태야 Yeah I want you to see 지금
Why you Why you Why you
And Deep Shower.
지금의 넌 어때 실은 보고 싶은데 언제든 어디서라도 우리 마주쳤을 때 흔한 인사라도 해줘 밤새나 와나 여기 We can do this all night long 처음 본 순간부터 넌 숨막히게 아름다워 최면 걸린 것처럼 I
found you. 기적처럼 met someone like you.
The three of them are from the collective Almost 90, by the way. And yeah, as you can imagine, their influences are quite noticeable in Jibanov's music. But let's go back to the point. He first released 3 singles under the stage name Jiban in 2016, but didn't wait long for his first EP. So Fed Up is an 8-track project with a dominant of electro and experimental sonorities. And it paid off since he had 4 nominations related to this EP and actually won the prize of Best R&B and Soul Song of the Year for Songbook Good Kids against none other than Dean, Jay Park, and Samuel Seo at the 2017 Korean Music Awards. Still in 2016, it then dropped For the Few, a 6-tracks EP, still on an electro house vibe, but maybe more muted this time, including a collab with Cash and Olinolin, and another one with Take, which is also a title track.
You're so funny today. You're so funny today. We're not home.
Along with Belief.
I can give it my full belief. I can give it my full belief.
Then in 2017 came Karma, and that's quite a turning point in Jibanov's discography since that's none other than his first real narrative project. Through 6 tracks, the EP recounts the story of a couple, from their first encounter to the end of their relationship. This EP is made of 3 collabs with artists such as Semin, Rick Bridges and Changmo for the title track Timid.
내가 그땐 좋았지 오늘 밤에 홀로 갈래 so vinyl 내가 왼쪽 갈 때 please turn right
꽤나 소심한 사람이 돼 있어 왜 난 무늬만 착한 놈이 됐어.
And the second title track, Truth. For 2018, he kept on trying new things musically and dropped the 5 tracks EP Panorama with We Just as a title track. So yeah, in the space of 3 years, Jibanov tried out quite a lot, from different vibes to narrative lyrics, and Good Thing is like the result of all those past projects. Good Thing is Jibanov's first album. It took him a full year to prepare it, and it seems that Lennon helped him a lot for the production, as well as Gianna, who is also credited in most of the tracks. His last release were pretty sad, like BTN, which stands for Better Than Now, and Oui Oui, the MVs he dropped in 2019 before Good Thing, were basically breakup songs, for instance. So for this album, he wanted something lighter, something more positive. He wanted to talk about love. Yeah, Good Thing is probably one of the most cheerful projects he released so far. But like, the more you listen to it, the more there is. I don't know, it's hard to describe, but there is something more, as if the protagonists depicted in this album were not that carefree. That's really a good question, in fact. What do you feel when you listen closely to Good Thing? I actually asked a friend of mine, and well, she told me that this album was incredibly soothing and comforting. And then she added that it felt like the end of the summer. And that's totally it. Good Thing is as bittersweet as the end of a nice summer. Overall, except for Silence, Guilty, Me and You and Luyu, the beats are rather lively and even joyful. But over time, Jibanov has learned to convey more just thanks to his voice. If you listen closely, in most of the tracks he's kind of downbeat. Like, his singing matches with the beat, but he has a way to smooth his voice. It's hard to explain it, especially since my English is pretty limited, but Jibanov's voice is just like silk. So the result is that even when he sings on a lively instrumental with the fast beat, the vibe of the tracks ends up soft. Good Thing is the perfect example. Let's play a game. Just like that, in your opinion, which track has the most beats per minute, also called BPM, between Good Thing
누구보다 행복한 사람이 너라는 걸 알 수 있게 It's a good thing 너와 함께라는 게
Kit Kat, so the collab with Woody Goldchild, Aaron Shikay and PH1,
내 삶을 더해 너도 다르게 원해 우리의 삶은 달콤해 Hey. 내 기분은 네가 정해 나의 걸때 있었는데 Oh yeah 하늘 원해
Yeah, 흐려지는 초점 문제는 obvious 땅 떨어졌어
and Giddy Up.
Hi gang, yeah, we be on the top every time, yeah. 우리들 잘 나갈 수밖에, yeah, yeah. 너가 팬이라면 다 퍼줄 수 있어 every day. 너가 팬이라면 다 퍼줄 수 있어 every day. Let's live it up, giddy up, giddy up.
Believe it or not, but out of the three, Good Thing has the fastest rhythm, like around 154 BPM, while Kit Kat is around 150 BPM, and Giddy Up at 144 BPM. So, even if Good Thing rhythm is faster, through his voice, Jibanov managed to convey this softness. But Jibanov is also great with lyrics. Over time, he more than proved that he was able to convey complex feelings through his songs. I sadly don't speak Korean yet, and I didn't find any translation of the album, but with Google Translation, and yeah, I'm not proud at all, and most of all thanks to a friend, bless him, I can assure that there is not a single 100% happy song in this album. They are sweet tracks like Paper Mash, Come Along With Me or Colin, but even in those songs, there is like a feeling of longing, for instance. Good Thing and Me and You are even more complex. Differently, both are kind of conveying a feeling of uneasiness. Like he showed it in Karma, relationships are not an easy thing. There is this precarious balance, kind of a vulnerability in the couple. Good Thing seems to talk about guiltiness, a shattered trust, while in Me and You, at one point, he basically sings in Korean something like, I'm finally in love, why do you think it's all a lie? And, well, the end of the album, which means the cloud, guilty, and silence, pretty much convey feelings such as resignation, guiltiness, a need for isolation, and maybe even a will to move on. Guilty lyrics speak for themselves. Let me show you a short extract.
Every day I try to become better but it doesn't work Every day I turn to God in prayer but it doesn't work Every day I try but the guilt is so mine Really I try to everything
And in silence, he basically explained that he doesn't want to see anything anymore, neither the light nor the skylight, in order to learn to be alone, to live in the darkness. Those lyrics are really strong and, yeah, sad, but paradoxically, this is also probably one of the most soothing tracks of the album. Like there is such a purity.
난 어둠이 좋아 난 정막이 좋아 깜깜한 밤 가늠하기도 힘든 어두운 밤이 좋아
So, yeah, Good Thing is like the end of a sweet summer, a brief moment of happiness which will eventually come to an end. A dreamlike experience, bittersweetness at its best. That's why you should definitely follow Jibanov. He's an artist with an incredible sensibility and a touching universe. He can convey happiness in one track and dejection in another. And most of all, he never stops experimenting. So, that's it for today. Do not hesitate to share your thoughts about this album in the comment section and to share the video if you liked it. If you want more precision about Jibanov, I made the more detailed article about him on kpopcaviar.com. The link is in the description below. And for some more cool content, you can subscribe to the YouTube channel, but also follow K-pop Caviar on Twitter and Instagram. Same, all in the description. See you next time!